Hello, Chikumbuso GAP students. It's very nice to meet you, even though I can't see you. My name is Roland Evans, and I'm a psychologist. I don't know if you know what that means, what it means to be a psychologist, but basically my job is to understand human beings and how each one of us thinks, feels, and acts. So I teach and I help people with their lives and with their experiences. I wish I could be with you in person, but I live in the middle of America and my time is 8 hours earlier than in Zambia. So this is the middle of the night when you're reading this or watching this. However, Harvey will record your questions and I'll do my best to answer and send a video reply from what I know and from my own experience. You can ask whatever you want, and I may not always be able to answer correctly, or I may not always have the time to reply to every question, but I will do my best. I'm interested in everything about your life and your experiences and all the different ways you experience. Because many of us have had complicated, difficult, traumatic things happen to us when we were young. And a lot of what I do every week is called psychotherapy or counseling. I meet with people to talk about their lives, about their problems, and help them with those problems, such as anxiety, depression, relationship problems, or not being able to do the things they want to do. First of all, I'd like to say a little bit about myself and my early life. Maybe you think that most white people have easy lives, but that's not always true. Even if you're rich, you can still have a lot of problems and suffer from fears and depression. You can also have very bad relationships with people, which cause you pain. I was born into a very unusual family, and although my grandparents were rich with a grand house and lots of land, we in our family were poor. As you know, many rich people do not help poor people, and that happens everywhere, not just in Zambia. My parents fought a lot, and my father was not good at making money. So when I was young, my parents fought and they separated and came back together. It was very chaotic. My mother drank and did not really care for us as children. And she used to do strange things such as steal food and objects from stores. And when I was growing up, there was a lot of chaos and bad feelings in the family. When I was about 10 years old, my mother left us and she moved to another country. And I lived with my brothers and sisters with my father. Although we never went hungry, we had to travel by bicycle a long way to school when it was cold and when it was hot, and it was quite uncomfortable for me. My mother was alcoholic, and when she came to visit us one time, she tried to commit suicide by cutting her wrists, which is really a very traumatic kind of experience for any child. I left school at 15, and I went to live with my mother in that different country, in Ireland, and I was separated from my brothers and sisters, so I was very lonely. Myself and my mother had no money. She was always drinking and smoking, so I had to get a job. But that job didn't last long because when I was 16, I got fired from that job. I'd actually been stealing drinks because I'd been a bartender. So then I had to travel to a different city, about 60 miles away, maybe 100 kilometers away, to try and find work. And in that city, I lived in a home for boys who'd got into trouble with the law, or who were orphaned, or thrown out of their houses by their parents. If I look at my life now in comparison to where I came from, I'm really happy. I've been married for 40 years to the same woman, and we have two grown-up children and a lovely family. My life is as good as I possibly could imagine. So I'd like you to know that no matter how hard things are in your life, if you make the right decisions, if you work hard, if you persevere, if you keep going on the right track and you treat people well, your life will turn out far better than you can ever expect. It really helps to have a positive attitude and to know yourself well. to have an inner life. And you can do that through praying or meditating or just spending time being quiet and reflecting on what's going on inside you. It's really important to try to understand yourself and to know what's going on in your heart and mind. Knowing yourself well with all your strengths and your weaknesses, the things which are good and not so good, is the most important ability you can have. If you have good friends or a supportive family, tell them what you think and feel and listen if they have good advice. But always check with yourself to see if it's true and right for you. Don't believe what people tell you or what you see on the internet or television. Think for yourself. Decide to be who you are and not who others want you to be. Each of us has our own true nature. And our task in life is to understand that nature and find the right relationships and the right purpose in life. We will always have troubles and we'll always have difficulties. Sometimes we get lost in a place of darkness, maybe feeling sad or hopeless with lots of fears and anxiety. Maybe we just don't sleep well during that time. Sometimes we feel angry at other people because they don't treat us well, or we feel the world and people are unfair. This is normal. But we have to be careful not to get stuck with those feelings and to develop a bad attitude to ourselves in the future. We have to stay at least somewhat positive and to look for the good things which are going to happen. Dealing with worries and with depression is not easy, particularly if you don't have anyone to talk to. So my work is to help people get through the bad times and to come out stronger and more positive. This is really what psychotherapy and counseling is about. Sometimes it takes time, but it always takes a lot of effort from the person who's trying to get better. In these classes, Harvey is there to help you try out new activities, have different experiences, and learn different ways to understand yourself. My task is to fill in the gaps and answer any of your questions. Maybe questions about what you hope for, what you're worried about, or what you wonder, and how you can move forward in your life. You've reached a big turning point. Your life is going to change, and you're certain to have doubts and fears for the future. Maybe you're planning to do more education or training. Maybe you need to find a job and make some money. Whatever your plans, this time of change is very challenging. It asks a lot of you. Between the ages of about 18 and 25, we all have to strike out on our own life path. It comes with difficult decisions and a lot of uncertainty. At age 18, I worked on a building site. Then I worked in an office for over a year. I hated it, so I moved to a small farm and I looked after the animals with the farmer. Later, I became a carpenter and a builder. It was only when I was 25 that I decided to go back to school and become a psychologist. It took me many years. We all have our own path in life, and it's never the same for everyone. So you need to do it your way, not how anybody else wants you to do it. There are three main questions all of us have to deal with during that period of 18 to 25. It's almost always the same, but our answers are always different, always individual and unique. The first question is, who am I? Why do I think, feel, and act in the way I do? How do I become the person I want to be? How do I become a better person? How do I become successful? The second question is, how do I find someone to love? We look for someone who will love us and be a partner in our life. Often we think about having a family and children. Sometimes relationships go well, but most often there's a lot of complicated feelings and even heartbreak in that process. We seldom get our relationships right the first time or even the second time. The last question is, what should I do with my life? That can be as simple as, how should I make money? Or it could be as complicated as, what is my main purpose? What is my calling? It usually means we have to learn some skills and abilities, and that takes education and training. At age 25, I had to go back to the beginning of my education, and as I said, it took nearly 10 years to become a psychologist. Always there's some tension between making money to survive or support your family and what we would really like to do with our life. We often have to be patient and just keep moving forward in the right direction until we get to what we're looking for. Now, Harvey and I have taught previous years of GAP students. I'd like to share just a few of the questions that I've been asked in the past. The first group of questions are about how to understand yourself and others and how to deal with difficult experiences and feelings. So the first question, how can you know your true identity, your true self? How can you overcome low self-esteem or feeling badly? Why do we dream? How can we understand our dreams? What is the cause of child sexual abuse and what does it do to that person when they've been abused? Can you overcome social anxiety and shyness? How can we deal with depression? And what should we do when we're angry? The next set of questions are about love, sex, and relationships. Why do we fall in love? And then how do we know if someone really loves us? More complicated, how does sex fit into a relationship? And how do I control my sexual urges when they're really strong? How do we overcome stress and a broken heart in a relationship? How should we respond when someone is mistreating us or disrespecting us? The last set of questions are about work, career, and purpose in life. How do we know we're on the right path in life? How should we choose the best career? If my family or friends ask for money, what should I do? How can I stay focused for a long period of time at work when I get easily distracted? How can I learn better communication skills? And then more generally, how do I know if these goals, this vision for the future, are realistic and achievable? You may have the same or different questions, but you can ask whatever you want to know, and I will try and respond. I hope to hear from you very soon.